You bring the energy, he'll do the rest. Martinez Company, powered by Sports Radio 102.9 The Game.
You're going to hear it right here.
The show starts now.
It feels good to see the world getting loose. Feels good to see the world getting loose. I don't know about you, Sack Noel. I don't know about you, Phenom. I don't know about you, White Shadow. I don't know about you, but I feel good.
And yes, we say, I don't know about you, but I feel good. It is Thanksgiving Eve for those who like to go out there and travel, hang out with their friends and family, as we all should, and be thankful for what we have and for the folks that we have lost throughout the year, from years past. We always want to make sure that we are thankful for anything that God blesses with, whether it be in another day, another minute, another hour. Regardless of whatever it is, we are always thankful for the opportunity to be with friends, family, of course, our loved ones, more importantly, because that is the most ultimate thing in the world, is to be thankful and grateful for everything that we have. And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in here. I am Angel Martinez of Martinez Company here live on the Coastal Sports Network and Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. The All Digital Sports Network, brought to you by Broad Street South, the company that started it all. And we thank you for downloading the app, as I see the numbers continuously going up. And if you guys have not heard, you can always go to sr1029thegame.com. It is right directly above me there. And you guys can visit the website, not only for the great content that we have here on the site itself and here on the network, but also right on the site, you can download the app. Therefore, if you are traveling and you're at the airport, you can watch the shows live. And then once you get to the airport, if you don't want to watch it live, you can always listen to it on the radio player. Therefore, you won't miss a thing. And then when you arrive at your destination, depending on what time of the day it is, of course, you can listen in or view the live shows no matter where you are. Now, the next 2 days will be off because it is Thanksgiving weekend. I myself will be traveling down to Fort Myers to go see my mom and spend time with her and my stepfathers. My dad will be up locally as well with his friends and his wife. So it'll be a great time to spend time with friends and family. Just a nice little break as a lot of stuff goes on here at the network. And in case you guys had missed it earlier, the replay will be available. Bill Sparrows and Rico Petrocelli, former shortstop and third baseman for your Boston Red Sox, was on, and Rico had some amazing and funny stories. That will be up later on for you guys on the instant replay. Of course, that is all up on the sports radio tab of the website. So you guys can go back and listen to the shows. You can always listen to the audio, and while you're there on the site, you can always subscribe to the RSS feed. Therefore, you guys won't miss any of the audio as it is uploaded and distributed everywhere across the platforms: Amazon Music, iHeart, anywhere and everywhere. Panda, you guys all subscribe to as far as for your audio downloads. And again, we do appreciate everyone who tunes in. Another announcement too that I wanted to make: you guys can see on the rolling digital billboard, as I call it, right under Coach Amir. God bless his family, which I'm pretty sure at the table. And while you guys are there, by the way, for USF, do us a favor, say a prayer for Coach Amir, because his family, it's going to be a tough Thanksgiving for a lot of folks. The same thing with my in-laws, as they had lost their son that was in the Air Force. Matt, God bless, God rest. So make sure for the people who are not going to be with us, always say a prayer and thank them, because without them, we end up missing everyone. By the way, Penguin AZ says, good morning, Angel Martinez Company, and the chat, as soon as the chat starts filling up here, Thanksgiving Eve. Yes, Penguin AZ, it is Thanksgiving Eve. Listen, it is the biggest night, and I'll talk about the other thing here in a second. This is the biggest night where a lot of folks end up getting together with their friends, because don't forget, a lot of folks who go off to college, they come back home to hang out with their friends, they hang out with their family. This ultimately becomes the bigger partier night, or the bigger party night, I should say, than New Year's. And the reason being is because it was started by the college kids when they came home and they wanted to hang out with their friends. A lot of people, you also hear the term, Friendsgiving. You hear that as well, other than Thanksgiving, because that's the time they go hang out. And of course, the next day on Thursday, they go out and hang out with their family, and then they cut away. Let's be real. They all cut away and go hang out with their friends again. So if you're going to be going out tonight, please be safe on the roadways. If you are traveling, whether it be by land, air, or sea, please be careful, be mindful, be patient. We all know we're going to run into some sort of congestion somewhere. If you're leaving here from Florida, heading up north, The weather is beautiful, but when you head up north, it's a lot chillier. So we will be enjoying the 80-degree weather down here while you guys enjoy, 50s, 60s, and stuff like that. But nonetheless, please be safe in your travels. Once again, don't forget to thank the men and women of our great nation. For if it wasn't for them and us veterans, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, which is have fun, celebrate, and enjoy ourselves. But the other thing I want to mention too, before we get into some Football Friday, I'm quite sure the guys will be calling in. If not, they'll be popping in here. Duncan Dash will be joining me shortly. I'm pretty sure Beeve somewhere in some place is probably going to be jumping in as well. But the one thing that I wanted to mention was, other than the website traffic itself, thank you guys, honestly and truthfully. If I am beyond grateful, if you had missed the earlier announcement, I'm going to go a quick rundown of the places. Not only do you guys listen in, but also watch from, and more importantly, have just taken the time to check out all the content. And starting here locally, obviously in the great state of Florida, I will tell you exactly from where: from Port Richey, Hudson, Tampa, Winter Garden, Kissimmee, Pinellas Park, Newport Richey, Miami, Palm Bay, Punta Gorda, Cape Coral, Claremont, Orlando, Naples, Hollywood, Spring Hill, Sefner, Lehigh Acres, Haines City, just to name a few here in Florida, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Rhode Island, California, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Michigan, Texas, Wyoming, Iowa, Georgia, New York, Tennessee, Oregon, Ohio, Connecticut, Arizona, South Carolina, Washington, Indiana, Missouri, North Carolina, Maine, and Nebraska. And I'm almost certain I said Illinois earlier. If I didn't say it, thank you as well to Illinois. Our friends to the north in Canada, where we get a lot of listening and viewing audience: Australia, Morocco, Belize, Switzerland, Sweden, South Africa, United Kingdom, Nepal, of course, over in Italy, Russia, Brazil, the Republic of Lithuania, Ireland, the Philippines, and there's even more than that. But I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who tunes in, who has downloaded the app, visits the website. It is a lot of work. It is very much appreciative. And I want to thank everyone for doing so. Not only that, but TampaJoes.com as well. You guys who watch us here on the Facebook page for Tampa Joes, Mike Goodwin and the entire crew over there always put out their best. Please patronize and visit all of our sponsors here on the network. As they believe in us, we believe in them as well. So we want to make sure that we get a hold of everyone. And I started mentioning before, on the rolling digital billboard right under Coach Amir, you guys will see everyone that we're pretty much partnering up with. Now, of course, I'm the Spanish play-by-play voice for the Orlando Predators. That season will kick off in March. The first game of the season period would be against the Albany Firebirds. I'm excited for that one because that was an exciting game at the Kia Center last year. I'm pretty sure it'll be just as exciting. But we also teamed up here with the Arena Football One League, along with USF. A lot of coverage that we've already done for football. There's still one more game left in the season. Men's basketball, women's basketball. Also, along with soccer, that the season is coming past. So we want to make sure that we acknowledge as well when it comes to the U.S. soccer team, men and women. And then coming up here in the springtime, for the first time in school history, we'll also be covering USF women's lacrosse team as they make their inaugural season debut. So a lot that we have covered so far with USF. We're going to be continuing to be the coverage partner for USF as well. And you guys already know the volleyball for the women, regular season champs for the first time in school history in the 22 years they've been around. And then in the playoffs, didn't fare as well, but nonetheless still made the playoffs, and they can only grow from there. USF men's football this weekend will be down in Texas. Final game against Rice. If they win this one, we all know that we're bowl bound already for USF. Come this weekend, they could just make it a better shot at a better bowl overall for USF. So that game will be at Rice. The men and women basketball just came off of a tournament, and the men as well. One from the Myrtle Beach Invitational for the men, who finished up third. And then also for the women who were in the WBCA showcase, the State Farm WBCA showcase, lost to Louisville, but got the ability to go and play at the UI World of Sports Complex for ESPN in Orlando. Came up short, but nonetheless, Coach had nothing but high praises for them. Of course, everything that's with USF, you guys can check out on sr1029thegame.com. Right on the homepage, you guys will see the icon, not only for the Tampa Bay Sun Football Club, but more importantly, also for USF Athletics and then all of our sponsors as well. So thank you for everyone. Once again, I appreciate it. I'm just beyond grateful for everyone just tuning in and helping the Coastal Sports Network, and more importantly, Sports Radio 102.9 FM, the game grow, as we have seen leaps and bounds this year. And every year I put out a different goal. And with those goals, I try to make one just a bit higher. So I don't have my goal set up yet for 2025, but I'm pretty sure over the weekend I'll think about it, and then we're off to the races. As every year I set out a goal and either I make it or overachieve it. And it's just the military in me. I'm always going to try and overachieve as much as possible just so you guys can get a better product. As you can see, the virtual background has also been changed up a little bit. So now you'll see the web address to the show directly above us. And like I said, a rolling digital billboard with all our sponsors and our partnerships will always be there. And there's still more to come, as I am working on another one shortly here with a local company, actually 2 local companies. So that will be coming up here momentarily. All right. It is Football Friday, nonetheless. And there's a lot to be said because apparently DeVito may not be, Tommy might be on the sideline, possibly. There was one report that was out earlier, and if I can go back and find it, where I mentioned that he was hurt. Here it is from the NFL. Pardon me again with my with the breathing here. This is from Jason Owens, a staff writer over at Yahoo. He says Brian Daboll, Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito, not 100% to play on Thanksgiving versus Cowboys due to forearm soreness. And let's not forget that he did get banged up. If you guys remember, he did get banged up on that the game against the Birds, or against Tampa Bay, excuse me. And I want to see if I'm able to play this, and then you would hear this directly from Brian Daboll himself, as he mentions about the conditions over for Tommy DeVito. So let me switch things up here so you guys can follow along. And then you'll hear from Coach himself. He'll talk about the reason why Tommy may not play because he's not feeling 100%.
In another walkthrough. So I'm hopeful, but it's not 100%.
So you mentioned there was a walkthrough and he didn't feel hopeful, and then that possibly he may end up not playing. I mean, again, you guys got to remember, he went from being the third string quarterback to the first string quarterback after Daniel Jones was pretty much ousted and told he was going to be down to third. And the only reason why Tommy went up to first is because they didn't want to pay Drew Lock his bonuses. Now, what are the Giants ownership here going to end up doing? Because you got to figure the reason why you didn't want Tommy to be up there was because you didn't want, or excuse me, not Tommy, Drew Lock to be up there because you don't want to pay him. So what are you going to do now? Are you going to forfeit the game so you don't have to pay Drew Lock his bonuses? I mean, if Brian Daboll feels that Tommy's not going to be in there, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to put him in harm's way, you got to pay the man, no matter which way you look at it. The Giants have found themselves in a situation that I don't remember in recent years where you got rid of your GM. The GM that you hired is probably not one of the best ones ever, at least not at this point in his resume. But the Giants at this point got to figure out either A, what's going right, or B, definitely what's going wrong. So now, this from the article earlier where it says the New York Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito is dealing with forearm soreness on his throwing arm that could sideline him from Thursday's Thanksgiving game against the Dallas Cowboys. This is according to head coach Brian Daboll, which you guys just heard, who told reporters on Tuesday that he's hopeful that DeVito will be able to play, but it's not 100% that he will. Backup Drew Lock will get reps at practice with Giants starters on Tuesday. After Daboll made his comments, DeVito told reporters that his plan is to play. Now, again, that's what you tell people. And again, everybody knows because of the whole Drew Lock situation. But this is from Tommy, quote, my whole body is kind of sore, DeVito said. First time playing in a while, took a couple of shots, and it's only not even 48 hours. Things are still kind of settling in. The plan is to play, see how I feel tomorrow, hopefully wake up feeling a little bit better after I get some more treatment today, looking forward to tomorrow. DeVito is coming off his first start in place of longtime starter Daniel Jones, whom the Giants benched and subsequently released last week for poor play. Locke was the number 2 quarterback behind Jones, but Dable promoted DeVito from third string to starter over Locke, raising questions about the decision in New York. This is DeVito's second stint as New York's starting quarterback. He completed 21 of 31 passes for 189 yards without a touchdown or turnover in Sunday's 30-7 loss at home versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Giants drew boos from the home crowd on Sunday as they went into the halftime trailing 23-0. DeVito started 6 games last season when Jones was injured. The Giants went 3-3 in the starts as DeVito completed 64% of his passes for 1,101 yards, 6.2 yards per attempt with 8 touchdowns and 3 interceptions over the course of the season. The Giants signed Locke to a 1-year, $5 million deal in the offseason. A 5th-year NFL veteran, Locke spent the season backing up Geno Smith in Seattle and was previously a backup and starter for the Denver Broncos. He started 23 games in his career, completing 59.5% of his passes for 5,292 yards, 6.7 yards per attempt with 28 touchdowns and 23 interceptions. The Giants fell to 2-9 with Sunday's loss to the Bucs and tied for the worst record in the NFL. Now, this is where the Giants are going to figure out whether this is the route that they want to go. What are they going to do? It is disorganized chaos. You just heard the record at 2-9. I've been harsh and critical on the Eagles. Eagles right now are running a 7-game win streak versus their win, or coming off the win, I should say, from LA. Now, they're playing the Ravens at Baltimore, and obviously Lamar Jackson has had a run in the field from NFC teams. The Eagles right now are playing and firing off of all cylinders. I mentioned before, I believe that Jalen Hurts is the Jalen Hurts that we saw last season before the slide. This is where it gets a little bit tricky at this time of the season because this could either be, and I don't want, by all means, I do not want the Eagles to run the table. I know Rick Marcus asked me that question on Monday's show, and I don't believe I want them to run the table. Now, they are on pace with the Detroit Lions. Lions that we saw last year obviously had home field advantage, did well. And the Eagles fans, don't get mad at me, but I think if it comes down to the NFC Championship game, I mean, if the Eagles are playing the way they're playing right now, it would be a great NFC Championship matchup. But if we start seeing the Eagles on how they started the season, which is very slow, only a few games, and I want to say maybe 2, possibly a third, where they started out quick, you're talking about a slow pace start to the season to try and catch up with everybody else. So now you're coming up on the Ravens, and you're going to have to start out fast. Now, the Ravens themselves in the last few games have also not started out on a fast pace, but it's been a tale of 2 different halves, the same way we've seen with the Eagles. So in order for the Eagles to be able to do what they've been doing on that 7-game win streak, one is they definitely have relied on the run game by Saquon Barkley. We saw that 255 yards running. Scrimmage yards, he had 302 yards altogether. He's been having an incredible season. No one can take that away from him. He's on pace right now for having 2,000 yards. At the same time, is you got to think about, let's keep the guys healthy. We just lost Brandon Graham, or the Eagles did. I act like if I work for the organization, but the Eagles lost Brandon Graham now for the remainder of the season, which then this was supposed to be the final season with the Birds. And I had just thrown out there as a possibility, what if Brandon Graham decides to say, you know what, I don't want to retire this season. But again, it comes down to Jeffrey Lurie. It comes down to Howie. If he decides, because who wants to go out on their final season on an injury? Even if, let's just say for all hypothetical purposes, that the Eagles turn around and they win a Super Bowl, would that change the trajectory as far as Brandon Graham? Does he then say, you know what, I was there for half the season, a little more than half the season, I'm good. I'll go ahead and retire, take that ring with me, and I'm fine. But if the Eagles come up, like I said, they go to the NFC Championship game, and let's just say it is Detroit that's there at the championship game, and turn around and say, you know what, now you know what, I'm going to go ahead and come back for one more season. Are Eagles fans okay with it? And more importantly, is Jeffrey Lurie okay with it? Which I'm pretty sure he probably wouldn't say no. But once you start putting the pieces into place and think about next year's draft, you really have to think about what's going to make the most amount of sense for this team. So there is a lot of stuff that is coming up here with the NFL this weekend, which is going to make things beyond interesting. Now, at the same time, as it makes things interesting, which is another thing, and I think a couple of people had some questions about this before as well, but Baker Mayfield, the one thing that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to do is try to lock in at least, and I mentioned at least a 3-year extension. But Baker Mayfield, for those who don't know, are trying to follow with the story of what had happened. It ended up breaking late Monday afternoon, was that Baker Mayfield files an $11.7 million lawsuit against his father's financial firm, alleging they failed to pay back stolen funds. Now, Thanksgiving might be a bit tense to the Mayfield residents this year, as Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Mayfield has filed a federal lawsuit against a financial company owned by his father, James Mayfield. The company is Camwood Capital Management Group, and Mayfield is suing them for $11.7 million. The lawsuit, which was filed on November 22nd, alleges that Camwood Capital failed to pay back a sum of $11,741,000 plus interest after taking $12.2 million from their personal account of Mayfield and his wife, Emily, between the years of 2018 and 2021. The money was taken from the account was done without authorization, proper documentation, or adequate accounting of the transactions, according to the suit. Now, does it sound familiar from something that we had just learned not too long ago this year from the Jaguars, where one guy who was in charge of the account decided to make himself a little bit of a lavish lifestyle, even though his job didn't even pay him $20 an hour? The lawsuit is not about proving that Camwood Capital took more than $12 million from Baker and Emily Mayfield. After the theft was discovered, an investigation conducted during which the company allegedly lied to cover up the theft. Both parties entered into a settlement agreement on January 23rd of 2024, which was earlier this year, in which Camwood Capital acknowledged they transferred the money from Mayfield's account to their own. In the settlement, Camwood Capital also agreed to a repayment plan that will start in September of this year of 2024, as well as free loan refinancing and full access to the company's books. According to the lawsuit, Camwood Capital has allegedly done nothing since then, breaching the settlement agreement and leaving Mayfield no choice but to sue. It is now clear that the defendants had no intention of making plaintiffs whole when they entered into the settlement agreement, the lawsuit states. To date, Camwood Capital has not repaid even $1 under the settlement agreement. Defendants have failed to refinance their existing loan, and defendants have not provided plaintiffs with access to their books and records. Now, while the company is owned by James Mayfield, Mayfield's brother Matt has a stake in it. Neither were named as defendants in the suit. They were only listed as employees of the company. This is now, listen, I know a lot of folks, we've seen a lot of stars, right? A lot of athletes. They have faith in their family to become like their agents, their managers. I mean, you had Selena, who had her, her manager basically do what she thought was going to be the right thing for Selena. And we all know how that tragic story ended. But this is where you have family members that you believe you can fight in, and you figure they're going to look out for your best interest. And this is, so I want people to understand something here. This is not where every family member is the same, but we've known of people in the past where they say they're going to look out for the best interest for their son, their daughter, whatever the case may be, and then only come to find out that it's not the case, that they end up taking money. We saw Shohei Ohtani's agent and the guy who speaks for him on his behalf, he had mentioned how he was supposed to be looking out for Ohtani's interests, but then again, you really wondered how much did Ohtani not know? When you're talking about millions of dollars being taken out of an account, how do you not know? Listen, for me, and Lord knows I don't have a ton of money, but if I spend 1 cent out of my account, I have my alert set up that if there's a cent that was moved out of my account, I want to know where it went. So, this is the time of year where you're thankful, you're grateful, and you hope that everyone is looking out for your best interests. But this is going to be an interesting story, and I'm pretty sure it's going to probably grow some more legs because there's probably going to be finger pointing at one way or the other. But if this was already went to court and it was filed and there was an agreement, and now come September, you haven't paid because now we're in November? I think Baker's probably been more than patient, and his wife Emily saying, "Where's the money? How come you're not paying us back?" So we'll see. This shall get interesting. All right. I am going to take my first break here on the network to make sure that we take care of our sponsors as they take care of us. When we come back, waiting on the other side is Duncan Dad, as we'll get into our Friday football picks, more importantly. And then he might tell you about a show that's up and coming here on the network. I'm just saying, I don't know. It could be Starbucks coffee, Dunkin' Dad's coffee. I don't know. It's going to be something. But nonetheless, we'll get to it on the other side. You are listening to Martinez Company here live on the Coastal Sports Network. Don't forget to make your comments here on the social medias as Duncan Dad. And obviously, Penguin as he have. Also, you can call or text the show at 727-858-6650. 727-858-6650. You're listening to Martinez Company. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree. Yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Hey, everybody, it's Pete Shepard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game app and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
Welcome back. Martinez and Company here live on the Coastal Sports Network, Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game, and of course brought to you by Broad Street South, the company that started all here about 5 or so plus years ago. And as the network continues to grow and evolve, we thank you all for tuning in. We do appreciate everyone here, including our sponsors and those who tune in for the very first time. We are beyond grateful here at the network. And with that, It is the weekly visit, as usual. It's almost become a daily, of course, when I'm on. But Duncan Dad joined me out there from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where my hometown, and I'm pretty sure it's probably a bit chillier than what it is down here in Tampa. What's happening, Duncan Dad?
Good morning, Martinez and Company. How we doing today? Everybody good?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's good. Yes, there's a little crisp, cool breeze in the air this morning. First time actually went out to take the missus or the lady to work, and we had to clean off some frost. Just a little bit, just a little skim coat, just enough to actuate the windshield washer fluid. And I always buy the one that does the all degree weather kind. It's hot and gunky with the bug stuff in it, but it's got the little bit of like the rock salt melting or whatever. I don't know. It's good. It works. And she was this morning. I'm like, now like the rear defogger, like it's for the back. Like you got to find the right button for it because those the dashboards and the consoles now they look like a spaceship.
Oh
right?
yeah.
We were super simple when we were going. We didn't even have rear defoggers when we first started driving. Right? You got in the car, you cranked that thing up, and then you had to wait. You had to wait because the engine wasn't hot. So the block's not hot. It doesn't matter how much air, how high you crank that thing, you're sitting there waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. I think my first car, just to go on a tangent real quick, because came around like Thanksgiving time, so it kind of ties in. Was like a 1984 Pontiac Fiero. Like it was like crazy. Got it from my cousin for like $500. My brother and I tore the heck out of it. We tried to put like the amps inside of it. Of course, like it kept dying because that car battery was meant to just drive. It burnt oil like a sieve. Like I rode around with like two quarts of oil constantly filling that thing up. But it was good. A little chilly this morning. It's a nice change. My folks in the Poconos, they had about 6-8 inches a couple days ago, which was nice. But then it turns real quick. It rains and then it goes away. Then you just have to worry about the ice. But doing good this morning. Have the girls over for the holiday for a couple of days, which is nice. So they're all running around, got them situated. And it's great. So school, the family traditions, and, whoever and whatever like you do for your Thanksgiving, if you celebrate, you really are. And they're on this Inside Out 2 kick right now, right? Like you really are making these core memories, right? Like you don't think about it when you're doing it.
Yep.
But you look back in 40 years and like, I remember going to grandma's house, or I remember going to auntie's house, or I remember going to Mr. and Mrs. house. Because I know a lot of people sometimes are displaced from their family. But there's been tons of individuals, especially when I was out of the country or in school, and they open up their home for like these holidays, not just Thanksgiving. And it's just like, man, like the sense of community and coming together and differing opinions, all that's great. But being in the presence of people who you care about and they care about you, that's the lane you want to find. That's the lane, that you want to be in, because all that stuff worries, all that stuff goes away. Everything is cyclical. But the only thing we can agree on is that we're not going to root for the Cowboys.
Oh, definitely. I can. By the way, boy, some of these games coming up, you got.
Hold on. What's really funny about this is, and you've met him a couple times now. My cousin, I'm going to shout her out, Marcy. She was like my big sister. I was called like the Goonie dynamic. She was Brandon and I was Mikey, like the name too, right? So she was a huge, and I don't know how. I think maybe it was because of trying to buck the system, because she was sort of one of those press the buttons, like you go left, I'm going right. As a teenager, she was an 80s teenager, like straight up 80s teenager. Hair, like Aquanet lived in her hand, right? It was awesome. It was great. But for me, it was great because I'm like, what's 88? I'm like 10, so 7, 8, I'm like 9, 10 years old. And I'm listening to like Metallica, Pantera, Cinderella. My mom's like, what is that you're listening to? I'm like, it's okay. I'm listening with Marcy. Everything is great. But she's a huge Dallas Cowboys fan for one reason. Blonde hair, blue eye, number 8, Troy Aikman. Oh my God. And I used to go back and forth with her. He sucks. He stinks. Blah, blah, blah. Now, Troy, right? But like we've met the guy. And he's a great guy. Like he's just a normal dude. Like you saw him at the Super Bowl. I saw him at the Super Bowl. I've seen him elsewhere. It's just like he's a normal, great guy, man. But I'm just like, how can I have this much animosity as a kid? But like we all mature. We all go through it. But she's the only one still to this day that if they do anything good, man, she breaks them for me so much. So much. They could be 2-10, and she's like, "Oh, we beat you." I'm like, "All right, see you later."
No, but it's stuff like that. It's really good though, because again, people don't. I wish people today would understand we were growing up how people today just spoiled. Let me just put it out there. You're just spoiled, whether you believe it or not. When we grew up, it was like when you were your friends, your family, because you always have a favorite cousin. There's someone in your
She's the
family,
best.
that you always gravitate towards. And for me, like I have one on my mom's side, I got one on my dad's side, and it's always the best time. But it's funny how you had just talked about Aquanet and I don't how people the way the girls had to get ready beforehand is again night and day compared to what they have to do today because before it was the blowing out the hair to tease down, spray, blow it out some more, spray. I mean, my sister, I will say, never really did it that way. She had both of us had curly hair, but now obviously we're older. It goes from curls to just straight. So for those who want, it's funny because you have people who have straight hair, want curly hair. People who have curly hair, want straight hair. Blondes want to be brunettes. Brunettes want to be blondes. So when we were growing up, it was just a different dynamic. Like when you came around for Thanksgiving, you're right, because when it comes to a lot of the memories, we used to travel up to New England a ton. That's where mostly where we spent our time was up in New England. And I remember, sitting around the table and there was the arguments, but not like the knockdown, drag down arguments. It was like the stuff throughout the season, like, or throughout the year, season, as if we're talking football here, but
season of life. It's good. It's a season of life.
It's true. But, they go back and like, oh, remember when I did this for you back in March and you had laughed at me and then look at it now. It's like, is this what we're going to bring up now at the table? Like, we're not thankful for what we're doing now. We're going to be, worried about the stuff in the past. So yeah, it's a whole different realm today of what it was when we were growing up. And I had mentioned too at the top of the show was the same with the college kids when they go home right now.
Oh man.
This is Thanksgiving Eve is really the biggest party, which I'm surprised where a lot of places aren't saying, come tonight, Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve for the biggest party. I know in Philly they have at least a couple of them. Here in Tampa, not as much, but it is the biggest party night for a lot of the college kids.
Yep, 100%. It's bigger than Mischief Night. It's bigger than New Year's Eve because you figure 9 times out of 10 you're not eating until between 2 and 4, a 2-4 window, maybe a 2-5 window if you really got to go, for a distance to get someplace. So these kids go out, man, and they tie one on, and up until like the last couple of years, they really maintain these the high school football games. So everybody goes back to alma mater. They're all showing up at like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. They're already like 2 6-packs in and watch the game, blah blah rah rah cheer. And you go from there, you get like a little snack or something like that. Maybe you catch a nap, you wake up and you go straight through Thanksgiving. And like that, it's probably like the triumvirate of you can be young and disconnect and thankful. And then you get a recovery day on Friday, right? Very few people, like I know there are institutions and places where you have to go in on Black Friday, but most time, unless you're in retail, people are like, we'll see you Monday. And if you were in the Poconos growing up, it was fantastic because guess what? Monday after Thanksgiving is the first day of hunting season. So we were like, this is great. Get me out of school on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm having a great time. Power through the weekend. Everybody's like, oh, we're going back. We're not going back. Have a good time at school on Monday. We'll take it off or whatever, And then you'd see all the trucks parked on the side, getting out with their blaze orange or whatever. And like, that's Mr. Keller's farm. Don't go in there. He'll chase you off, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, that's good. Note to self, not going in there. But yeah, like my favorite one was bringing up the little things where they go back and they're trying to be endearing, right? And they're trying to say, do you remember the time that you had all those issues and you were really confused and you did X, Y, and Z and blah, and they have to rehash the whole story. Not just like, hey, we're happy that you grew and you're here now and everything works out and blah, blah, blah. It's like detail by detail by detail. And you're just like, please, like I lived it. I'm pretty sure we all shared in it in some way. Can we just, moment of reflection? I'm sure I've had plenty. So let's just go. But you don't see these individuals. And maybe the last time you see someone is at these hallmark moments, right? And that's like the memory that they have of you. Oh, what happened to that girl? Oh, well, 2 kids later, a divorce, a bankruptcy, and 2 moves. Now we're here. But yeah, it's like things like that. But I always liked when my family got into the conversations about the old times, and you had like the 2 the two patriarchs and matriarchs of the family, and they're going back and forth like, no, 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 that was Mr. Angelina. No, 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 that was Mr. Canigo. No, 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 that was Mr. Biscotti. And just like, who is it? And then you have like number 3 in line, number 4 in line. This is my Aunt Judy now. And she's like, clear mind. She's like, no, it was this person, this person, this person. And then the two older ones are sitting there at each other and they're like, they get that gruff, they call it the gruff look on their face. Where like, I guess we were proved wrong. So I'm going to get a cup of coffee and this person's going to go get a cigarette. You know what I mean? Like, and you're just like, you're sitting there as a kid and you're just like, what just happened? I just saw like the two most peaceful, calm individuals in my entire life, my nanny and my pop, from both sides, like going at it. Like, is this okay? Is this fine? What should I do? And like, I'm just going to go to the kids' table again and hang out over here, you know? But like, man, like I love that. So myself and my cousin, Veronica, Nikki, we've taken on that archivist role for like the family. I come across pictures the other day and I sent it out to my cousin Mars. And I was like, listen, ask your mom. Because not for anything, right? She's getting up there in age. I'm like, look at this picture. Because now we can send it all. Like I found a photocopy of a picture from like, had to be like 40 something, right? I'm like, name every single person in this picture. Like just write it down. Because once it's written down and now we can take a picture of it or we can save and put it in the cloud. Like now that stuff can be used by people way on, up in the future. Because I don't know, I think it's good that you keep track of that stuff. But anyway, that's my Thanksgiving-y whatever little rant.
No, but you have to though, because you got to think about it. I mean, how many, there's not a lot of, I mean, again, unless you grew up in our era, that's like perfect examples like Debbie's mom, my wife's mom. She has plenty of albums with a lot of pictures, and she just came off a cruise not too long ago and then put it in an album because she wants to, it's memories that you want to remember by. And then my mom had albums for years. I think a couple of them she ended up getting rid of, but it's, when you look at vintage photos, that vintage photo tells so much of the story behind it, because you can take, everybody knows that like right now it's really, really rare that someone ever pulls a camera out of their purse or their bag, or their pocket, even with the slim ones, because everybody uses their phones. The phones have gotten so advanced that they take tremendous pictures. I mean, from Samsung to the iPhone to God knows what else is out there, they take really good pictures. But it's different because it doesn't tell the story. The vintage photos, when you knew your uncle either had the bell bottoms or he had the afro because disco was in, it's just, you look back at those pictures like, man, that it was just during different times. It was innocent times. The music was different. The atmosphere was much different. People weren't so angry. Everybody was more carefree, where you could literally leave. I mean, I remember growing up as a kid, my dad used to leave the key when you had the 3-key system in the car, the ignition, the glove box, the trunk.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the way it was. And the keys were in the car. I mean, we wake up the next morning, the car's still on the block because you had nothing to worry about. The windows were open. God forbid you slept with the door unlocked. No one walked in. Nope. So now you fast forward life. I mean, everybody, did you check the door? What about this door? You check the windows. Is the alarm on? I mean, it's just, there's so many memories that we've had from years past that you embrace so much. And I'm thankful that, like Debbie's mom's still alive. My mom, my dad, my stepfather, her father had passed some years ago. But, even my dad, you can look at my dad right now and you can just tell that, the life, he still has life in him, but he's finally getting up to the point where, man, I really need to enjoy life. Because my dad worked all his life. And now it's just gotten to the point where he just feels now like, you know what, I need to stop worrying about so many things and actually take a moment and enjoy things. Because, I mean, he's the oldest Martinez that's lived out of an entire family. He lost his brother years ago. His sister's has Alzheimer's, so she's losing, obviously what she remembered out of life. But it's just, man, there's nothing like this time of year when you start remembering all the stuff, when you laugh about it, the dumb things you did as kids, the stuff that you got away with, and now you could tell your parents when you thought I was asleep or when you thought I was doing this, I was over here doing, whatever. But it's just a whole different era, whole different time.
Yeah, love technology, but the advent of technology sometimes suppresses what I like to call the little minor memories and the little minor bits of information that we just pick up and store randomly. Like you said, sometimes you're passing through something as a kid, and since you are distracted, I'm distracted by social media, I'm distracted by X and posting and all that kind of crap, but we would hear something and without even paying attention to it, it comes in and it resonates and makes a little mark on it. And then later on, you're like, I remember hearing something about that, right? And I look sometimes at my kids, and I know that the things that they bring up were prior to their tablets, or when it was, I guess, like a technology detox, right? And there was just so much action, so much activity going on that it just was almost forced to like implant upon like their memories. And you're right, it's crazy. There's people are so busy sometimes with it that you're sharing sometimes, and I'll go, you know, my old show away for a second. Like you're opening up and you're sharing something that could be very personal and important to yourself. And a lot of times we always hear, but we're not actively listening to them.
Right.
And in the act of listening, you're looking for the keywords that are like, oh, wait a minute. This person doesn't tell me I'm kind of feeling melancholy today. I'm kind of feeling overwhelmed today. Maybe I should pay attention. Maybe I should really take this for more than just its face value. And so many times we don't, in those situations, actually listen. And then the opposite effect that has, people like, well, I'm not sharing now. I'm not going to open talk about it. And you have an opportunity a lot of times when you get together with family you haven't seen for a while, that you've built some kind of connection, or friends that you haven't seen for a long time. And like, this person always listened to me. This person always talked to me. Maybe I should, reach out to them or whatever. So like, and I know this is like, I ran on this stuff, but like, it sounds childish at times, but you have a phone, you have email. It takes literally 2 seconds. Even if the person blows you off, to be like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? And that's it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. If it sparks a conversation, fantastic. If not, at least you know that you've quelled this sort of inquisitiveness in you. Like, is my dude okay? My girl okay? And on the other side, this person's like, hey, all right, that person still is, looking out for me. I mean, sounds stupid, right? Billy Madison, right? Steve Buscemi's character sitting down on the couch, he's putting lipstick on his mouth or whatever. But Billy Madison reaches out and says, hey, man, sorry for being a butthead and a bully, blah, blah, blah. And he crosses him off the list. There's a huge message in that. There's a huge message in it. Not to that extreme, but still, it's like, all right, yeah, like this goes some places, like I have nieces and nephews and stuff that they're like, oh my God, and like, don't even want to talk to you. I don't want to give you the time of day.
Right.
But yeah, it is. It's a lot of people miss out like on that stuff. And it's, I don't know, it's being super busy. I get chastised all the time. Why are you saying hello to the cashier? Why are you saying hello to the waiter? Why are you saying hello? I'm like, because they're human and I just want to like acknowledge them. They could tell me, I mean, this is Philly, man. I've gotten told, like people like, squaring up, like, what are you looking at? What are you doing? What do you need? S stuff up, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. It's like, you got to stop talking to people. I'm not going to stop talking to people. Now, situationally, if like it's all hitting the fan, I'm not going to be like, let's talk.
Right.
But no, it's people miss that stuff. And it's a shame because that's how you build relationships. That's how you grow as a person,
Yeah, it is. And then it is the same way. I mean, I'm the same way too. Debbie says she doesn't know how in the world people just they approach me out of nowhere and just start talking. And it's just because you do like what you put out, people end up feeling. And if they feel like it's the same way like an animal. An animal knows like, oh, this person's friendly. You see them wagging like crazy, like, oh, this is a great person. But they know you turn that corner, dog looks, he's like, hold up. You're walking over there. You ain't walking on my side. So it is. The interaction, that's why I hate when people say like a disinformation, misinformation, like, listen, shut up with that nonsense. Either you're telling the truth or you're not, one of the two. The same way when you interact with people, it's important. Like, I think to me, when you go, thank God I'm married, but when you go to date someone, doing it through an app, I understand that because everybody's busy, just like you mentioned. And I know we got to get into the Football Friday picks here, but there's nothing like the interaction. When you really want to get to know that person, you did everything possible. You can use the dumbest line ever, but if she thought that like it was the smartest thing to do, she would end up talking to you. So that, it's just, there's a lot of interaction that's missed, but nonetheless, thank you everyone. Don't forget, please, where we go. And by the way, I just got an alert from Rick Marcus via Southwest. If you guys are heading to the Tampa airport, leave early. He said it is absolutely jam-packed at the airport. So if you're planning on flying out of TPA, go ahead and get yourself on the road, because not only that, the roads around here are going to get extremely jam-packed here within the next hour or two. Not only the folks who are leaving from work, but those who are traveling either north or south of the state here as it gets consistently busy. But nonetheless, Wherever you go, make sure you check in early. Make sure you keep your kids, because Lord knows I've been to the airport many times and I hear someone yelling for their child because they get so busy they forget they had children with them at the airport. But with that being said, it is now the time of the week that everybody waits for, which is the Friday football picks. And matter of fact, I forgot to take a look. And I'll see if I can take a look now while we're talking here on our pigskin picks, pick 'em, because the only thing that I'm missing, and I still have a record of, is the week when I was out for the hurricane. But I had wrote it down because there was only one game I had lost that weekend. But currently, the way it looks, and I know I picked the Chargers on Monday night because I just thought maybe, possibly, they could end up pulling it off, but he didn't. The Week 12 winner, ironically, it was still me there for Week 12, but overall records, Rick, speaking of, out there in Tampa, at 111-49. Duncan, you're behind him just by one game at 110-57. Fuji at 109-64. Myself at 106-56. And then you have Levon at 92-68. Penguin AZ at 83-60. And Gaspam Guy has been writing all his picks down because a couple times he had issues. I know Rick did as well. But we will be tabulating those at the end of the season. But from this week forward, it gets more and more tricky in the NFL because we know that some teams will start to rest certain guys. If some guys clinch early, then they start resting up more of the team. So this is where the picks count, more importantly. So we'll go kind of through the games here. I'm not even going to use Detroit and Chicago because that's pretty much an automatic gimme for Detroit. I don't know what Chicago is believing in Matt Eberflus. I'm pretty sure he's thankful. He's grateful. He still has an opportunity to coach the Bears. But how do you brought high hopes like we used to hear at Citizens Bank Park. High hopes. Everybody's getting excited out there at Social Field. And then they let the air out the ball. And everybody goes back to being, are you freaking kidding me, Chicago? 4-7, Detroit at 10-1. This is not going to be part of the 5. But Duncan, is anybody really believing that the Bears can pull an upset over the Lions?
You know, it was funny you were doing that. I was checking on my guys, my All City guys in Chicago, and Mark and I, friends, whatever, go back, and I don't feel bad for him, but he's got to do NBC Sports, GN, Chicago Sports All City, and like I don't know how he goes out every week with the excitement and the possibility of like a Bears win when they know that there's so much going on. And you could hear it in the candor of the fans, like when they do their little interviews, they get their calls and they're just like, we got to blow this up, fire this guy, move on from here. And media people, right? And all these other armchair quarterback individuals, they start throwing out these little things. Oh, Caleb Williams isn't that good. So-and-so is not that good. Maybe he shouldn't have been drafted first. And all these little things seep in. But yeah, you can't that's one bit of Kool-Aid that I'm passing on. I'm not drinking. He needs a better offensive line, needs a better coach. Just there's a lot to be done in Chicago. And you're right. It's probably going to be a Lions boat race.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned earlier on the program, winning out versus being healthy, two totally different things.
Yeah.
Like I hate when these teams get out there and it's third, fourth quarter and they still got their starters in, they're up 20. Take your guys out. Take them out. Rest them. There's little fluke. That's when you go to the sideline and the water boy like squirts the edge as he's running back off with the stuff from the timeout, and your star wide receiver, blows out an ACL or twists the knee. Like that's the crazy stuff that happens. And they're not trying to be like too cautious, but no, you don't need to do it in these, not to call them meaningless games. Every game is meaningful, but yeah, no, don't watch this game. Have fun this game. Watch this game.
Yeah.
If you're Detroit fans, go watch it, live it up. But yeah, take it off the list.
Yeah, no, that won't be up there. Then you have, again, the kind of like the best of the worst here. Dallas, who surprised Washington last week by pulling off a victory there. 41 points scored in the fourth. And now I'm almost to the point, really, Dallas needs to be replaced as America's game on Thanksgiving because, listen, you've had your run. I get it. I understand it. But now it's really time to start inserting other teams in place. But nonetheless, Dallas 4-7, Giants 2-9, Danny DeVito, Tommy DeVito, whatever DeVito you want to call him, may not be able to start, which means they have to put in Drew Lock. Thursday, the other turkey game at 4:30. This one will put towards the 5. I don't believe Dallas can end up winning 2 in a row at home the way they're going. But, and I use the word loosely here, even though DeVito may not be the complete answer for the Giants, I think he was going to be playing a little bit better. But if you have in Drew Lock, and at the rate the Giants are playing, not too bad against the Bucks, but I mean, they still show their ugly head. I hate picking Dallas because I even picked them one time this season, and they freaking let me down. I'll go with you first. The guys, I'm pretty sure, and I'll send the text out a little bit later on for those who end up joining us during the 5 here. But does Dallas win this at home and stop the home game losing streak and all these fans who buy tickets and have yet to understand that this team is not going anywhere?
Man, this is where the backup quarterback who's kind of been chomping at the bit on the bench with Locke, and there's a whole different conversation in his contracts and his incentives. He has motivation to go out there and play well. Tracy, the running back, is really good, and Dallas has had some issues this year with containing an explosive, versatile running back, both pass catching and run the ball. Dallas is front with Parsons. I mean, that's going to be eating up the Giants line all day. Man, I don't want to pick Dallas, but I think they have a little too much talent across the board on the defensive side that they'll probably sneak out a win, and I'll trust their kicker over, pretty much anybody. So begrudgingly, I'll take the Cowgirls. There, be thankful, Cowgirls. Be thankful.
Yeah, they ought to be. I'm sending Rick the message here. The first game, Dallas Giants. I'm sure Penguin AZ will end up sending his picks as well. That's my only thing is that I just don't. I don't want to go with Dallas because I know it's going to be almost a disappointment again. But then again, they're riding off that high. Mike McCarthy feels like they can win the world for some reason or another. Rick went with Dallas as well. And I GBG, I'm pretty sure I'll send him a message a little bit later on, but who knows what Fuji's going to end up picking. But I don't know why. It just seems ridiculous, but I almost feel like the Giants somehow or another will squeak this out by Dallas and their goofy nonsense and the way they're going. I'm still going to go with my gut. I believe that in the Giants, I think they'll be able to do it. Hell, I could be kicking myself in the high end because of it, but nonetheless. Then you have Miami at Green Bay, the other turkey game, 8:20. It is supposed to be below freezing. We all know Dolphins do not like cold weather. That would be including the human version as well. Green Bay, I cannot see them losing this one, where they will have advantage weather, advantage altogether team. Jordan Love in Green Bay, I think, has surprised a lot of people this season. Thank God that Jordan Love didn't get hurt. We saw at Sao Paulo in Brazil when the season first started. Everybody kind of grinned their teeth like, oh my God, are we going to save the season? 8-3 Green Bay, Miami at 5-6. What say you there, Duncan Dad?
I agree with your take. Not going to beat around the bush with it. The Packers at home, cold weather, Dolphins, they haven't shown me that they can play that way. I know Waddle came on great last week. I know Tua had a decent game. But you got to stop Josh Jacobs. You got to watch Reed and Watson. As long as Love controls himself, and Tyler Kraft is doing phenomenal right now, as long as the defense holds up on the back end for the Packers, which they're going to test them, the Dolphins. They're going to try to stretch the field. But I think LaFleur going into the game understands that. He's going to be like, don't get beat underneath with these little crossing routes from Hill, and don't get beat deep. Anything else, we should be fine. And ball control. I mean, Jacobs 3 touchdowns last week. He just pounded the heck out of the ball. And I think that's their formula to win this week. Take advantage of the elements, take advantage of being there, grind out the game. Yeah, give up Packers. I'm taking the Packers.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way too. I'm waiting for Rick to send me his pick there. Penguin AZ picked the Cowgirls as well. I know he's not picking Green Bay, so I already got him written down for Miami because he would never go with the – excuse me, wrong one. He does go with Green Bay. That is his team. I forgot it was good Lord, the Bears and other teams. He doesn't go against his division, put it that way. So yes, he is with Green Bay there. And everybody else's picks will end up coming in. Rick says Green Bay because no one believes that much into what Miami's going to be throwing down. So that's that one. Next one, KC and Las Vegas. This is not part of the Friday 5 pick, but to be mentioned because it is the Black Friday game of the week. I don't see where on God's green earth the Raiders pull out any kind of victory. You're in KC. Not that it really matters for Vegas because the mountains get cold. The only difference is obviously you play inside of a dome versus the outside elements. But I just don't see Vegas winning this one. I'm going KC. Your pick.
Yeah. Circle back real quick. Penguin, you're exactly right. Run Jacobs. Yeah. Be a second half team. Just like the Eagles, you need a little bit of startup before giddy up happens and wake up. Raiders and the Chiefs. Great rivalry. I think more of a rivalry when we think about Romanowski and Christian Okoye back in like the 80s, maybe early 90s. But now this is a one-sided game. Vegas is, to be honest, they're playing for the top draft pick. And as long as Carolina keeps picking off wins, I think the Vegas are going to find themselves in a situation. So I'm not saying they're not going to intentionally lose, but you lost Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
Right, your team is beat up. You got to go to Kansas City. It's the day after a holiday. It's going to be cold and miserable and loud. Yeah, Kansas City to win this handily, but it's not going to be this, 35 to whatever kind of game. I think a nice little 27-10 game. Everybody gets out, nice and easy. Enjoy your shopping later on in the day.
Exactly. This one, I was thinking about putting a Friday 5, but I think I'm going to end up passing on that one. But I will talk about it. Chargers obviously had just lost one against Baltimore at home. So both LA teams lose back-to-back nights. Then you have Atlanta, who's 6-5, Chargers 7-4. I don't see where the Chargers will attempt to lose another one. I think Atlanta came back down to earth the way they've been playing as of late. This one for me is pretty simple. I think Sunday 1:00 that goes to the Chargers, and Atlanta pretty much just welcomes them to Mercedes Domes and just says thanks for lost Austin and have a safe flight back to the Chargers.
I'm on the fence because I don't know how Dobbins is going to be. I know he tweaked his knee, I think, at the end of the game or the second quarter. I think second quarter versus Ravens, not the end of the game. I'm sorry. And but I don't see Atlanta being able to match up with their two receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stafford's going to take care of the ball. It's going to be a fast track, so you're not really going to have any problems with the routes inside in Atlanta. Sneakily, I want to say the Falcons because I feel as this could be a snowball effect for the Chargers. But after the game versus Baltimore, Harbaugh's going to have their heads on straight. They get to, right the ship a little bit. So I'm going to go with the Chargers, but I don't know. Like I think this is going to be like your 35-28 game. Stafford takes him for a drive,
right?
Puts him over the top kind of game. So give me the Chargers.
All right. Then the next one, another 1:00 game of the week. Cincinnati 4-7 at home versus Pittsburgh 8-3. Pittsburgh, of course, doesn't want to keep losing because they want to try and stay somewhat on pace with KC, even though they're 2 games back, obviously in the division there. But you take a look at this game, both teams need a win. Cincinnati, more importantly, more than obviously Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh does not want to go into any kind of losing streaks for that all intents and purposes. To me, I don't think Joey Burrow and crew have enough to beat Pittsburgh. In my opinion, doesn't matter where they play now because they're both in cold weather. So that makes no difference nor here or there, nor snow or anything else. I just think Pittsburgh pretty much tells Joey Burrow this might be the final nail in the coffin for your season. So I'm going with Pittsburgh on this one.
Yeah, Pittsburgh needs to they need to rebound a little bit. So, man, I don't think Pittsburgh saw that coming. Elements obviously played a role in that game. I love the way that Jameis Winston has sort of reinvented himself, and he's showing his familial side. He's showing his little kid side. He was having fun in the snow. But, Pittsburgh, if Pittsburgh is who we think they are,
right,
and they are who they think they are, they should go in and win this game pretty convincingly. I'm concerned that Chase and Higgins may put up a lot, which in turn is going to force Pittsburgh to really try to extend that field. And Pickens versus Chase, Higgins versus really nobody. Running back decent in Pittsburgh. Najee Harris never missed a game since he started into the league a couple of years ago. Congrats to Najee Harris. Chase Brown is legit as a running back in Cincinnati. I would give Cincinnati the edge at home, but Pittsburgh, if Pittsburgh's are who they are, they're going to win. But I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take the Bengals.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Bengals.
All right. This next one, which will count towards the 5 picks. So now we have 3: New York Giants, Dallas, Miami, Green Bay, Houston, Jacksonville. Now, CJ Stroud, for some reason, has decided to go backwards. And I don't know why. It's kind of surprising. My expectations for Houston this year was to be able to knock off the defending champs. It doesn't seem like it, at least not at the moment, unless they catch, like we always say, is a lightning in a bottle. But I wouldn't have thought that CJ Stroud would be struggling the way he is right now. Now, I don't know if it's, again, Deion Sanders, I played it earlier during the week, where he talked about his team being humbled because of the way they've been playing and they got knocked around. So obviously he told him, fame is one thing, but being humble is another one. CJ Stroud, I'm kind of surprised the way Houston has been playing as of late. Then you have on the other side where you feel like Dougie P knows the pressure is on. He knows the heat is up. There is no way in the world that you walk away with another loss. If I'm, Shad Khan, I'm like, listen, bro, I gave you your flowers for the week. I believe in you the whole 9 yards. I think for this one, Dougie P comes out with a different sense of, I would say, minor excitement, at least about 10% worth. But this one, you got to look at it. I would think at this point, Jacksonville has to pull off the win. They just have to. So I'm going with Jacksonville over Houston off of this game.
I'm having doubts about CJ Stroud seeing a complete version of the field. I know that Jacksonville has a young, impressive defense that has underperformed its expectations this season. I do think, however, that the Texans will win because of Joe Mixon, and a little bit more Joe Mixon. So I'll take the Texans close. And Fairbairn, he's not going to miss another kick. That kick that he missed last week, that's one that's going to sit in his head until he gets out there and bangs through like a 50-yarder just to get him back on track. But yeah, I'll take the Texans, but take it with a grain of salt.
All right. Then our next one coming up here is Arizona, Minnesota. Once again, Penguin AZ says he is taking the Texans as well, so I'll write him down for that one. I'll wait for Rick and his text to come in between Houston and Jacksonville. Next one, Sunday night, 1:00 game, Minnesota at 9-2, Arizona 6-5. And I did mention last week, and I believe I'm the only one that went with Seattle last week.
Yeah, because
the way Arizona's been playing as of late, I don't see also Arizona at the way they've been playing. I still believe that their QB1 should also be benched, and Arizona really needs to start kind of going some sort of rebuild again with the Cardinals out there in the desert. Minnesota for me is the winner of this one. They are 9-2, Arizona 6-5. So I am going with Minnesota on this one. That will be part of the Friday 5 picks.
Minnesota, I love Arizona. I feel as if they have a lot of the talent that you need, but they just don't. They don't put it together consistently back to back, right? 1 week Connor's really hot. The next week you get nothing out of him. The next week Harrison's on the ball, you get nothing out of him.
Yeah.
Same thing with Kyler Murray. There's a level of consistency that has to be there in order to be successful. I honestly can't tell you guys how the Minnesota Vikings are 9-2. I don't know. I really, really don't know.
Sam Darnold.
But Sam Darnold, TJ Hawkins, and JJ, man, they are holding it down.
Yeah.
They're holding it down. And they're not going to catch Detroit unless Detroit has a hiccup. So they're not going to win. But 9-2, right? 9-2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, people are like, oh, cheap win here, cheap win there. A lot of them have been pretty impressive wins. with game-winning drives in the fourth quarter, defense holding on. And after a while, you have to think to yourself, all right, this is like a low-key decent team here. You know, like they're going to have a home game in the playoffs, right? Like they're going to have to go on the road if another division leader loses. If not, are they going to play Detroit at home? They're not scared of Detroit at home. They're not scared of going to Ford Field and playing Detroit. They see these guys 2 times in a year already. I think the Vikings have a nice game. I think Jefferson goes for like $160, maybe 2 touchdowns. Darnold has a clean game. That's what Darnold does, right? Darnold doesn't turn the ball over. Right. He had his one little hiccup game, but he really doesn't turn the ball over. So that's a reflection on the Panthers and the we won't say that name.
All right. So write you down for Minnesota. I got already Rick down for Minnesota and Penguin New Zealand down for Arizona as he sends in a text that says Cardinals. Another team I don't ever pick, the Vikings. Haha. So yeah, for that's
quick shout out to our friend Anne Marie living over there in Japan, in Tokyo. Good luck. Enjoy your career over there. And she's a huge Vikings fan. Gets up crack of dawn sometimes to watch these guys play, or you crack it on the other side through the night. So she's enjoying it. She's enjoying it, man. She's enjoying it.
By the way, Rick said that he must be under the weather because he's already picked 2 Texas teams. So he says he's blaming because he feels like he's a little bit under the weather. But wow, that's a crazy career move. But if it brings her joy and happiness and what she wants, that's a good thing. Next one here, Sunday, 1:00. Oh boy. New England at 3-9. Colts are basically no better either at 5-7, but they've been hanging around at game time when needed. But Pete, if you guys did not hear, had blown off all this week, especially yesterday with Bill Burt, and talked about how this team has not fired someone. I have zero faith that the Patriots and Gerard Mayo can pull this one off, but watch them make a monkey out of me. So I'm going with the Colts because to me, the Colts have been there. They didn't give up on Anthony Richardson, but we'll see if Anthony Richardson doesn't give up on himself over the weekend. They do go out to New England, so they will be out in the elements. Normally they're inside of a dome, but I'm going to go with the Colts.
I'm going to take the Patriots. I feel like I'm having a Twilight Zone day. I've taken the Cowgirls. I've taken the Patriots. I don't even want look at the late game, but yeah, I think for some reason, like you said, I think that's why the Patriots are going to win. I think that's why they're going to win. Like they shouldn't put together. They're just going to put it together.
Right.
It's going to be 20-13. Patriots win. Nice solid victory. And then you question like, you're 4-9 now. Oh, okay, all right, got some talent here. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, it's give me the Patriots. Maybe I'm maybe I'm getting sick or something. Touch wood.
It's got to be something. Next one here. This one will add to the Football Friday picks because again, what I'm trying to do this week are the teams that should be winning that might end up flipping around. This one, Seattle, who took care of business in AZ, right, and then winning by. Picked that one there. 6-5. They're going and traveling to New York, and the Lonely Jets at 3-8. Aaron Rodgers was on a Pat McAfee show saying he doesn't know who the person was who wrote the article about him, says he doesn't want to leave. He wants to play. But, according to the person in the article, they said that they don't want to, he didn't want to play in New York. I don't think he goes back to New York next year. And I don't know, truthfully, what team would want his services come next year. But with that being said, 1:00 game out there in the Meadowlands, Seattle Jets. I am not picking the stinking Jets because I don't care for Aaron Rodgers and his nonsense and everything that goes along with that baggage. So to me, Seattle should put this one off.
You ever see the meme from, was it Batman Returns or Dark Knight Rises or whatever? And Michael Caine's talking to Christian Bale, and he's like, why is this happening, Alfred? Why is this happening? And he's like, some men just like to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
I'm going to be that guy. I've bet on them like 3 times this year to win, and they've screwed me each time. But I'm going to take the Jets.
Oh, boy. All right. Okay. All right. I'll get everybody else's take in there. Rick says first place is on the line. So Good luck, Duncan Dad. So yeah, he's true. He's talking about the ESPN Pigskin Pick'ems. So
that'll be different on the pick'ems. I'll switch it up on the pick'ems. I'll take the Seattle where it counts. I'm the one sending out coffee to everybody, but crazy. It's nuts. It's just one of those games, Angel, where it's like they're playing like crap. There's so much mess in the locker room. Nobody wants to step up. They just fired their GM.
Yep.
You know, is Devontae Adams going to be healthy? Who knows? Garrett Wilson, I know, is in a tailspin. Once premier wide receiver in the league, first couple. Now he's like, he can't wait to get out of there. And you're right with Aaron Rodgers. Like, love Aaron Rodgers. Like, can't go against all of his accomplishments. You know, he's got the cred. He's a Hall of Famer. But you never want to say dude is mailing it in and blah, 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 blah. But there's definitely a bit of disassociation in his craft. And maybe he's not the one disassociating. Maybe it's the people around him. Right? Because we've seen this before in football, right? People don't like the quarterback. People don't like the vibe or whatever. And what happens? You know, that guard decides to like, oh, I'm not going to fill the B gap or the A gap. And whoop, here comes the linebacker smash. And they hit the quarterback. Internally, they're sending messages, you know, in that room. And, oh, we got the locker room. It's all safe. But you know what? Where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And both of those New York organizations right now are not enviable positions to be in as a player, as an owner, as a fan. And but that's when they win games, right? That's why the Giants are going to beat the Cowboys, and that's why the Jets are going to beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, well, we shall see. We shall see. Now you have the next one to wrap up the Sunday night 1:00 games of the week. Tennessee versus Washington. Tennessee 3-8. Washington at 7-5. Washington is trying to stop their skid of where they are right now. Tennessee surprises everyone and wins against the Texans last week. I can't see where the Commanders want to keep losing. I just don't see it. At the rate and how they've been playing this season, I don't see it. To me, I believe Washington definitely goes to DC, wins and pulls it out. They go 8-5, which makes Tennessee at that point 3-9. To me, it's the Redskins, and it's rare that I pick the Redskins, but to me, it's going to be the Redskins all the way.
Tennessee 1 in a row, Washington losing 3 in a row. This is like we talked earlier about the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? If you are legit, if you are who you are, if you're supposed to be part of the playoffs and not the upper echelon team, but a respectable playoff team, you have to put a stop to this bleeding, right? You're oozing out loses right now and losses,
right.
losses, all of it. Yeah. Correct me, grammar. Washington, this is a must-win game for the Commanders. It really, wholly, truly is, because the NFC North, with 3 teams with 8 wins or more,
right?
You start to come down this little food chain, and either kudos to the NFL when I say how they do it. Every one of those division leaders, they get in.
Yeah.
Right? So your NFC North, NFC South, NFC West, NFC East. Once those teams go in, then we start looking for the next playoff teams, wildcard teams. So Eagles are in, Detroit's in, Atlanta or Tampa Bay will get in, Seattle will get in, and then you go to the next best records. Well, to make up the 7, you got Minnesota and Green Bay. So if they're trying to keep pace with the Packers, they've got to win. They need to run off 2-3 wins in a row, and hopefully, touch wood, not to throw shade on you, Penguin, but they need the Packers or the Vikings to sort of trip up a little bit. Because say what you want, everybody has to be represented in the NFL. So even if garbage, Atlanta finishes their season with an upside down record, they get in as a division winner.
We shall see. Next one that's coming up here, you have Tampa and Carolina. Tampa 5-6, Carolina 3-8. That's a Sunday nighter, or Sunday afternoon, I should say, at 4:05. This one, Tampa Bay needs to win to keep pace in a division. Carolina obviously could have played spoilers before, lost last week on a close one. To me, I think Tampa Bay pulls this one out in the win over Carolina, even though they're in Carolina.
I'll be like Fuji. Go ahead and take out your Tom Brady jersey from the closet, put it on as you sit down. Sorry. It's Thanksgiving. Yes, Tampa Bay. You get Tampa. Tampa's going to win this game. And please, I want people to stay healthy. I get so skittish as we get later on in the year. You see these teams with all this potential, and you're like, oh, all right, let's just hold it together. Let's hold it together. So for Gas Pump Guy, for everybody else down there in the Tampa Bay metro area, let's go with the Bucks. Oh, breaking news.
No,
we have
no,
breaking
hang
news.
on for 1 second. Somebody approaching the door here, so I'm by myself. So hang on for a second. Go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah, so Tampa Bay, good matchup this week. Going down to Carolina to get right game, I guess, for Tampa, kind of put things back in perspective, put things back in motion. Evans is healthy. Bucky Irving, holy cow, like running incredible. Shepard's coming on pretty well. Otton holding stuff down. Baker is Baker. The whole thing with the, check out the name and the Tommy DeVito quarter stuff. Yeah, like throw a little shade every now and then. It's fun, right? I mean, things happen. Have a little, I don't know, a little bit of charisma, as the kids like to say out there. But a lot of games on the slate this week that we have touched on, and we always say, like, must-win game, get right game. This is the point of the year where, even Brady was talking about this on the broadcast last week, you really define and separate the teams who are going to be there when you get to the playoffs. And it's about getting that medal. It's about making adjustments. It's about making the corrections as you go on week to week and knowing I'm going to see this team down the road. We're not going to empty the full cache of our plays, but yet we're going to go ahead. We are going to execute. We are going to do our best to win this game. And you never want to bring in the health stuff. And the Eagles, touch wood, they're on a tear right now. But there is something to getting through your season healthy as opposed to trying to win it all, trying to get all the records, trying to, etch your name in all these little books here for your team or for the league. Get in the playoffs, be healthy. We chastise Kansas City. Oh, how are they? Look at their record. They're not winning. They're winning ugly. They're winning. They're winning consistently. They're putting themselves in a position to have a home field in the playoffs at the time that it actually matters. And there's a luxury to that, right? There's a luxury to being that talented of a team, maybe a favorable schedule, maybe favorable matchups, maybe you catch teams when someone's not healthy, but they continue to execute, they continue to win. That's what always I have, and I'm sure a lot of Detroit fans, and shout out to the D, right? I'm sure they're all sitting there going, man, this is exciting. This is fantastic. We're running the table. We've got 10 wins, best team in the league, next to Kansas City, and they look like they should be the Super Bowl favorites, and they are. But one little hiccup, right? One little thing can turn your season, on a dime. And they lost Hutch early on, but their defense as a whole has stepped up. And that's where good teams, the schemes, the execution, calling the proper play at the right time, being able to mitigate and manage what's coming back to you, those are what gets you over the hump. And so far, the teams that are winning like that have made the corrections. Look at the Eagles out of the bye, 7 in a row. They adjust. And when they need to win, they win. And we talked about this before. If you are a good team and you're playing a less than good team, we won't say a bad team, but it's a bad team. Good teams beat bad teams convincingly, right? And if you're still in that window where you can take someone for granted. Pittsburgh probably did that to Cleveland, going into Cleveland. They were like, oh, it's Cleveland. They're the mess. We're going to blah, 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 blah. And what happens? They wind up losing. But if Pittsburgh was of the merit of the Chiefs, of the Lions, I'm going to throw the Eagles in there. They beat that team convincingly because good teams beat bad teams, and they beat them convincingly. They don't let them hang on. That's why, like Penguin was saying about the Packers, those slow starts, even though your record doesn't reflect, that catches up to you. You can't have a slow start versus the Lions. You can't have a slow start versus someone like the Chiefs. You can't have a slow start someone like the Eagles. Ask Green Bay. Green Bay probably should have won the games in Brazil, but they had 2 defensive stops in the red zone in the first quarter. That doesn't happen. Saquon doesn't have 3 touchdowns. Completely flips. But all of these matchups now, and we talked about this way, Angel's way, this really shows you, all right, who's going to change, who's going to adjust. And that's why you have teams like the 7 team knock off the 4 team.
Yep.
Of course. That's why this stuff happens. They're better adjusting. They're better at executing. They're better of mitigating these changes as they go along, through the game, and not being so hard-headed and pig-headed that you have to have your fingerprint either from a coordinator or coach's role on every single down and distance that you sort of shoot yourself in the foot. Like, we know who's a running team at this point. We know who's better on defense. We know which team can control the clock. We know which team. You give Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I don't care how decimated their lineup is. You give him 35 seconds, minimum 3 points. Minimum 3 points. He'll probably score a touchdown. Same thing with the Bills. Right? They just have ability to move the ball quick. This is such a game of long chess now, but it's so quick. I read a article a couple days ago about the turnover margin. We were preached to as kids, and we're still preached to a lot of times on the MSM, right? Like turnovers kill, turnovers kill, turnovers kill. A lot of these teams have a boatload of turnovers, and they're winning games. Why? Because in today's NFL, it takes one play. Look what Washington did last week. They line up after the kickoff. Jaden Daniels gets a cross route to McLaurin, and he's gone 80-some yards for a touchdown. 7 seconds. And that wasn't the play. That was him catching the ball and running the field. That's nuts. But we're at that time, Angel, where good teams, they beat bad teams. They beat them consistently. And if you're a contender, you're not going to do this flip-flop stuff. So, yeah, it's Thanksgiving time. It's time to go around the quarter. But a lot of these games that we've circled out, the Pittsburgh game, the Washington game, the Texans game, this is really going to show you the team that they are. Really going to show you the team they are. And then you can look back and say, no, okay, it is Detroit. It is Philly. It is Kansas City. It is Buffalo. Everyone else is playing catch-up. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That we will. We got about 4 minutes and change left here on the show, but we got quickly the last 4 games we're going to run through here. We have Rams, New Orleans, Rams 5-6, New Orleans 4-7, 4:05 start. Again, another one where it's kind of tough. New Orleans trying to bounce back with their interim coach. Rams obviously want to bounce back after the handed loss from the Eagles. I would think, even though they're traveling to New Orleans, kind of a short week for them as well, somewhat. I still go with maybe the Rams trying to go 6-6.
Yeah, I'll take the Rams. Should be track meet. Should be a high-scoring game. Puka probably going over for like $125. Cup's going to have 80 and a touchdown. Kyron Williams, he's like the updated version of Alvin Kamara. So give me the Rams.
All right. And then next one, obviously Philly-Baltimore. This one we'll put as the bonus game. Eagles 9-2, 7-game win streak. Baltimore 8-4. Poll went off last week. 4:25 start in Baltimore. I'm going obviously with my Birds.
Man, Baltimore's favored. They're at home. It's a field goal. It is the CBS premier game. You got Tony Romo and Jim Nantz. I'm sure we got guys here, Jim. But I'm going to take the Eagles only because I feel as if their secondary will take away Zay Flowers and Likely, and it'll give the linebackers an opportunity to really concentrate and stuff that box for Henry and Jackson. If that doesn't happen, the Eagles lose this game. They lose this game. So leaning on Slay, Gardner, Cooper DeJean, and Quinton this week, like huge. Like those 4 guys are like, this is a make your money game. Like this is again, good teams beat bad teams. If you're a good team, 9-2 record reflects that. You need to go out there. You need to shut this team down because on the offensive side, they'll be fine. Saquon will run the ball. Baltimore secondary is horrible. I'm not worried about the offense scoring points, but give me the Birds close.
All right. Penguin AZ is taking Baltimore. He says, sorry, fellas, but he's going to Baltimore. Listen, that's fine. Yeah. It's the choices here. Then you have San Fran and Buffalo. Wrapping up these two super quick here. 8:20 for San Fran, Buffalo. San Fran 5-6, Buffalo 9-2. I don't see San Francisco going into Orchard Park and pulling off any win. This one should be a no-brainer. Buffalo should go 10-2.
Buffalo all day, especially if there's like 6 to 8 inches worth of snow plus the lake effect stuff. San Fran is not built for this. You don't want to go to Buffalo right now. You don't want to go. No,
nope.
Not at all.
Then the final one here is Cleveland and Denver, the Monday nighter, 8:15 after everybody's filled with nothing but turkey trimmings and everything else. Cleveland 3-8, if I remember correctly. Denver 7-5. Same thing, they're playing in Denver. Weather does not matter here. The altitude really doesn't matter that much either. But I believe that Denver will pull this one out, even though Cleveland, another team that they've been pulling off wins when they shouldn't. So for me, it's going to be Denver all the way on this one.
I believe in Bo Nix. I do. I think there's something there. I think they're going to be a dangerous team if they squeak into the final playoff slot for the AFC. They have something that, like a quick little flash in the pan, that kind of stuff. So yeah, give me Denver, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I mean, I'm sure James is probably going to go off now, but I think Denver probably about 10, 11 points. They'll win this game.
All right. Okay. That will wrap it up here for Thanksgiving week here on the network. Of course, we are off tomorrow and Friday. We want everyone to enjoy their holiday weekend. Give thanks to those who've helped, those who haven't helped, those who believe, those who don't believe. Listen, the haters, even give them some love too, because why? It's what they do. You know, everybody can be happy-go-lucky all the time. I'm forever thankful to Duncan Dad and Penguin AZ, Rick Marcus, Joey B, all the listeners and viewers. We do appreciate everyone tuning in, visiting the website at sr1029thegame.com. Don't forget you can download the app directly from the site. As Rick tells me, Philly by 1, he went with the Rams in Buffalo. But thank you guys all for tuning in. Don't forget, as I mentioned, breaking news. What breaking news do we have?
No, I don't think it's breaking news. We saw the guy was coming to the door. I thought you had a message, yeah.
Yeah. No, the guy.
His lunch just got there.
Yeah, that's probably it. Someone came knocking on the door, so I had to go make sure to answer it because my lovely wife is she's out and about with her mom. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, just like Penguin AZ said. And thanks to those, again, who download the app, who listen in. The best of will be up available on the site. So if you guys missed the show, especially this morning with the Pete Shepard Show, go back, view the show. As Rico Petrocelli was on, he told some great stories. This show will be up later on for you guys to hear. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the RSS feed so you don't miss when the next audio download is going to be dropped. So with that being said, as Rick Marcus says, happy Thanksgiving to all. Got to go. Same thing to you. I thought you said about Duncan not doing a show. Oh, yes. Good call there, Penguin AZ. All right. Yeah, before I ended it here, there is a show coming up by Duncan Dad, but I'm wondering, have we finally settled on the name of said show?
I don't know. I think I like it as the homage to the music, if that's going to fly. Is that going to fly or no?
Or for which name? The homage?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
It could work.
It could work.
Yeah, I think that could work. Yeah, so there'll be stuff later on. As Duncan Dad has been an addition here to the network. It's just been because I've been so absolutely insanely crazy with USF stuff. He's going to be part of the network as well. So his show will be coming up. Another one possibly is I have to talk to somebody offline today as well to see that had a former show elsewhere. And listen, people are starting to reach out, which is nice here on the network. We just want to make sure that we have great content for you guys to come back, view, and listen, just as everybody does here every single day. So once again, safe travels. If you're heading to the Tampa airport, leave early. As Rick Marcus has already told me, it is absolutely jam-packed. I'm pretty sure Philly International is going to be the same exact way. If you guys are hitting the roads, make sure you take your time, arrive alive, and don't drink and drive no matter what you end up doing. So with that, Duncan Dad, appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to you, your family, and Lydia Levon.
Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there in the terrestrial world, the streaming world, the social media world. Be good, be kind. Seriously, don't drink and drive. Enjoy yourselves. Just shut it down. You got a couple days, shut it down. Maybe take a little detox from the social media. You know what I mean? Just like flush out the brain. Go take a walk outside, 15 minutes, It's good for you.
Just need it every once in a while. All right, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe, and we will talk to you all on Monday.
Take care.